Okay, everyone, we are live on the UnitedWest.org with the radio station playing in the background. Tom will be on in 2 minutes. 2 minutes. Tom?
General quarters, all hands man your battle stations.
Broadcasting live on WNN 1470 AM, 95.3 FM, iHeartRadio, and the World Wide Web. This is Make America Think Again with your Google Blacklisted host, Tom Trento.
All right, we don't want any April Fool's nonsense today. Normally here on our show, the United West, Tom Trento, your host. WNN 1470 AM on the dial. On the radio side, we have some folks that probably came over. We do a half-hour Bible study from 10:30 to about 10:50, then open it up. What's that all about? You're hearing everyone from the president.
We're all going to die, Tom.
Yeah, we're all going to die. The psychologists and doctors saying we need to pray, we need to get back to God and all this stuff. Well, we're firm believers here at the United West. As you know, we run an organization that fights bad guys and does a lot of work in Israel and the Bible believing. Jewish folks and the Bible-believing Christian folks uniquely in this in our lives have pushed off hundreds of years of animosity and tremendous abuse to Jews worldwide by so-called Christians, not following the Bible but following a political agenda. And in light of all of that, there's a movement worldwide of evangelical Christians, Bible-believing Christians. I'm going to need a red light or something here. Bible-believing Christians.
Now you want now you want an idiot light. Okay.
Well, when you're dealing with, we're all idiots. What am I going to tell you?
Oh yeah, that's right. You don't watch your pressure gauge on your car anymore. The light came on.
If you're trying to figure out what's going on, we have several cameras in here, and they switch without me knowing it. So I'm looking at the wrong camera, but I should have my peripheral vision expanded somehow. In any event, there's been a unique movement with evangelical Christians and Bible-believing Jews, typically the Orthodox Jews, not the Jewish folks who don't even believe in God, like a rabbi who wants to debate me. I've debated him so many times, and now he's telling me he believes in God, but not really a God that is a God, but it's a different kind of force and a power. We're not talking about him. We're talking about serious people. And because of that, because of the fact that we take seriously the teaching of God in the Hebrew and Christian scriptures, we started a half-hour Bible study. Everyone's welcome. 10:30, go to theunitedwest.org. Yeah, that's much better. The United West. Yeah, how can I miss that? That even an idiot can see that. Theunitedwest.org, and you can watch at 10:30, and then we switch right over to the radio show, which we're on right now. A couple of minutes, we are supposed to be joined, if everything works, by...
April Fool, everything's working, Tom.
Yeah, one of the Trump officials. And if you're watching, I have my superhero shirt on today because we need a superhero, ladies and gentlemen, to come and help us. But we also need a superhuman, a supernatural assistance. So we need to be praying, and we need heroes. And as much as we have fought with some of the nursing unions around the United States, and some of them are just Marxist unions. I mean, I infiltrated a Marxist operation, a conference in Chicago a few years ago, and it was the nurses unions were running the thing. I never kind of figured that out. But as much as we may have political differences, as we said yesterday, there's our helmet back there. Our helmet is off to these men and women on the front lines who go in every day. In a sense, I made this analogy yesterday, comparable to some of our special operators. But the special operators know and volunteered and have the aspect of death as part and parcel of their mindset, their operational modus operandi. But nurses, particularly nurses and doctors, when they sign up, they don't say, this job is going to cost me my life. They say, this job is going to enable me to save lives. But the paradigm has been shifted here, and even the police and firemen now are contracting this very insidious disease. So we need to be upholding them, supporting them, praying for them regularly. But guys, how are you today, Midwest Dick? What's going on?
I'm in amazement back here, just watching everything move forward. It is April Fool's, and everything's working.
My God, look at your studio. I can't believe it on my monitor here.
This is all a cruel joke. This is not actually happening,
You
Tom.
guys have been hard at work.
This is not actually happening. This is definitely an April Fool.
I'm sitting next to the Wizard of Oz. It is scary. Let me tell you, it is scary.
I'm scaring myself. It's working.
With all the handles and everything going on.
Unbelievable.
But actually a picture comes out and noise comes out.
Somehow it works.
It should be a quality picture.
Tell us, it looks good on this monitor. Well, it's me. I mean, it's got to look good there. Midwest, tell us about Monday and Tuesday on Sharia Crime Stoppers.
Well, thank you, Tom. Yeah, we had Claire Lopez on Monday night, and as always, just tremendous information, lots of questions. The benefit of the webinar, for those of you that may not have been there, it's worth registering because you do get to ask questions. It's also available on YouTube. So we had a breakthrough on Monday night, Claire Lopez on the Zoom platform, but also on YouTube, live on the UnitedWest.org homepage. That was our first. Thank you, Wizard of Oz over here. And then last night we had Raymond Ibrahim, a very unique speaker, as you know, great researcher, because he's talking about factual details of battles for 1,400 years. We're not talking doctrine or theory. It's the actual physical historical events. And that's his research. We talked about that last night, and he was able to relate it to today's world, including the free speech issue, where he was rejected by the Army War College because of CARE. Through pressure, he re-invited, and he did deliver the message. Keep in mind, the message is about battles. The audience is the Army War College. So the challenge was to get that in front of them, and Raymond Ibrahim did a great job, gave us an insight in terms of what he told the leadership of the Army in that presentation about 1,400 years of Islam battling the rest of the world.
Wow, good stuff. Sharia Crime Stoppers, how do they, if they want to join, how do they do it?
Well, the simplest thing, again, the UnitedWest.org is amazing as a website. On the front page of the website, on the right side at the top, you can click on Register at Zoom, and then you fill your information in. You'll get a reminder, and in that case, you'll go through the Zoom platform on all of our events, including the one right now, and you'll be able to enter questions. The other option, of course, is to watch on YouTube Live at unitedwest.org.
All righty. Well, it's 11:11 in the morning. Tom Trento, your host here at the United West, where we make
good
America.
job, Tom. All right, you actually
I
switched
saw it.
in.
I could see it. Where we make America think again. And I'm your host, Tom Trento. We have been doing these broadcasts on and off, depending upon the on and off of our bank account. We have to buy the time.
More off than on.
More off than on. We have to buy the time, and then we do the broadcast. And I think in 2012, we're doing 3 hours a day, which was great. But right now, if you can help us through the next few months, I know everybody's stretched, but a little bit goes a long way with us. TheUnitedWest.org. TheUnitedWest.org. Make a little monthly donation. It's right there on your page, so we can keep bringing you this information. Right now, I want to bring some information from Florida. Here's the situation in Florida. We're inching up on one of the states that's getting the greatest increase, and it's logical because we're a resort state. We have people flying in regularly from all over the world. Disney and Orlando and Tampa and Sarasota and Naples and Miami and Key West and on and on and on. But also we have two highways. On the East Coast, we have I-95 that goes to New York, New Jersey. Those people are escaping, trying to come to their Florida homes, their winter homes now, to get out of the mess in New York. And Michigan is starting to fire up, your state, Midwest. And I-75 leaves Michigan and winds up on the west coast of Florida. But right now we have state police stopping cars, finding out what they're doing coming into the state, and we have I think the National Guard's helping us at airports too.
That doesn't bother me at all, Tom.
Yeah, I mean these are unique days. But right now it's Wednesday, the 11th, April Fool's Day. Between Monday and Tuesday night, the number of coronavirus cases in Florida increased 18% to 6,741, and hospitalizations went up nearly 20%, almost 900 people, and deaths rose 20% to 85. So we have roughly 7,000 people in 7,000 hospitalizations, 7,000 people infected, 900 in the hospital, and 85 have died here in Florida. Sounds like small numbers compared to New York, but we're on the upswing, the theory is right now. Not good stuff. So, and I know DeSantis is under a lot of pressure to shut the state down completely where nobody's allowed out except for food and water, that kind of deal.
That's another reason for the Bible study. Thank you for the Bible study. It's certainly helpful at this time to get people to think about things that are important as they are otherwise filled with fear.
Yeah. Any word on our guy there yet? You'll tell me, right?
Yep, I'll tell you.
Okay,
I've got anything. I'll see it.
Okay. We'll see.
Well, actually, you'll see it too.
Zoom, by the way, let me read something from Zoom that came over the news today. For those of you using Zoom, us, on the news it said Zoom is gearing up, obviously. I talked about it yesterday. It was started in 2011, actually 2013, by one individual, Chinese guy who moved to the United States to do his dream, to build his dream, which was have some communication system that enabled him to talk to his girlfriend without traveling 10 hours on a train in China. And he eventually was a successful executive at a small tech company, and then went and started Zoom 2013. And in 2019, it went public, and its value on the NASDAQ is $36 billion. With a B, $36 billion. And our friend Juan is, we're at $6 billion. Well, with this virus, can you imagine the overload of work thrown at Zoom, which is which is another form of a competitor to Skype. A lot of people are familiar with Skype or FaceTime. iPhone uses FaceTime as a video platform. Skype uses the internet. Zoom just wanted to make a better Skype, a better mousetrap. They did it. Well, right now, the Zoom executive is saying, secure your meeting. Establish a password. Do we have that, Dick? Secure your meeting. Are we doing that? Here's the rules to do this.
Go right ahead, yeah.
The CEO is telling everybody, secure your meeting, and here's how you do it. Establish a password.
Okay, and then remember it.
Create a waiting room. Lock down your meeting. Sounds like we're not doing any of this.
I think there's a feature called Zoom Rooms, and I think we're not using that feature. Zoom Rooms is perhaps what he's talking about. When I read that, I ignored it because we're not using that feature.
All right, he said that you need to protect your Zoom meetings because people are crashing some private meetings. That's that meeting portion, probably.
Right, and I think that's a learning experience for us and other people. Sometimes when you open your mic, if you unmute a guest, an attendee, you're not really sure what you're doing. So that's something we're careful about. We don't actually have attendees that have an audio feed. So I'm aware of an organization that lost their whole Zoom because they didn't. It was a user error. There's lots of functionality in this product, and if you, let's say, unmute something that you really don't want, just somebody, an attendee randomly coming in and taking over your meeting. So we're on top of that one. I think we have to read this email again a couple times because I think it's a feature we don't use.
All right, we don't want villains coming in when Batman is in charge here. We don't want any of that stuff.
Again, people should look at the Q&A button. If they have a message, they get to type it, and we get to see it. So there really are no audio questions. There's only typed questions, which Mother Mary reviews, and we process them that way.
Well,
okay.
And also, look, the Broward County school system is using Zoom at their home meeting, so they won't be breaking that in.
Yeah, the
their homeschooling.
The stock price the other day was $136 per share. Imagine buying Zoom when you first started using it 2 years ago.
Absolutely,
it was probably $10.
Absolutely. Universities have been using it for some time. Actually, it's mainstream in certain areas, but I think the new information is that just people who used to be somewhere else and are now at home are the obvious audience. So the sky's the limit, really, as long as the bandwidth and the technology continues to handle the workload.
That's going to be the question. Well, they're probably running around like we are.
The other thing too, I mean, anything technology related is off the shelves. I mean, I tried to buy a stupid little Y cable last night, and I couldn't find any. There was a little splitter cable, stupid splitter cable.
Well, I know you were looking for webcams, right?
I couldn't find a webcam.
A Logitech webcam.
Couldn't find one. And I was looking for it, so I just that's why we're using
the webcam right behind the toilet paper in the supermarket.
Yeah, really, they are.
All right, well, what we did, folks, 11:19, 11:20 in the morning, a.m., Tom Trento, your host. The United West is our organization. Make America think again. That's our goal. And our objective in putting all of this together for you was to mobilize 1,000,001 evangelical Christians. Why? In the state of Florida. Why? Because we love the United States of America, and Florida has become the frontline battleground. Listen carefully, the frontline battleground for the Democrat-Republican showdown on November 3rd, 2020. Recognizing that a couple of years ago, we started our campaign to mobilize 1,000,001 new evangelical voters because for some reason, and we have a lot of reasons, for a lot of reasons, evangelicals, Bible-believing, here's a Bible. It's a Greek Bible, but it's a Bible. Bible-believing Christians aren't voting. Some of them simply think Donald Trump is too immoral of a person, and therefore they abdicate their civic responsibility and their opportunity to weigh in on the direction of the country, and they say, I'm not voting. All right? They have other reasons. Some are so heavenly minded, some Christians, they're no earthly good. Their head is in the heavens. Well, this is a fallen world, and this is evil, and all of that. Okay. So they conclude, Why am I going to go to some place and write my name or cast a law? Who cares? It doesn't. You know, I don't want to do the worldly stuff. I want to keep spiritual. Other Christians say, and you may think these are stupid reasons. Well, you're right. They're very stupid reasons, but they're reasons. And our objective in putting this show together was to go to these folks. I'll tell you how in a minute. What another reason is that they just simply view the whole process of elections and all of that as man-made, and they just want to follow God. So the reasons why true Bible-believing, wonderful people don't vote are absurd logically, but interpersonally there's some validity to them, but all of them can be overcome. So recognizing strategically we need 1,000,001 people, and I'm going to read something for you that just came out that makes what we're doing even more dramatically important. Recognizing strategically that we need to mobilize these people for the campaign, we put this show together. And one way in which we were going to do that is simply to mobilize an army of volunteers for President Trump. And we have been yelling and screaming about this for a year and a half, and not too long ago, the campaign put up a website, armyfortrump.com. Our goal was to mobilize people, get them there, thousands of people, and then get them out going door-to-door registering. But that may be a problem.
And
but our
guest
next guest, our next guest is in a great position. Mark Lauder, are you with us, the Director of Strategic Communications for the Trump campaign? You there, Mark?
Mary said she had him, but I don't see her.
Okay. Well, we'll get him back. Mark Lauder is the Director of Strategic Communications for the Trump campaign, has been on the show before. And I'm going to lay out our problem for Mark, and he better give us a way in which we can we have some ways in which we can overcome this. I think he hung, as she's saying. He may have had another call. He got in late. Anyway, we'll see if we can get him back. If not, we'll get him in tomorrow. And where we're going with this is very, very simple. The original plan, the strategic plan, was designed to mobilize physical people, volunteers for Donald Trump statewide. We've got 20 million people here. There's 15 million people that call themselves Christians. There's millions and millions of constitutional patriots, of Tea Party people, of conservative-minded individuals that want to work, want to volunteer. So we were simply a nexus, a communication nexus, to focus attention on the need through other coalitions around the state. And as they would go out and do their thing all over the state, mobilizing people, we'd lead them all to a central location, armyfortrump.com, which is a phenomenal website that has 9 portals of volunteer activism. And one of the most strategic portal of activism was door-to-door registration, where you get trained. Takes a couple of hours to get trained. You get an iPad. You go to a neighborhood, and you know at that address right there, that person is a Christian. Well, how do you know that? There's so much data out there. We know what magazines you read. We know if you go to church. We know all this. We being, the cloud in the sky. That material is out there. It can be collated, and you can know in that home is a family of 4, and the mother and father are registered Republicans, but they haven't voted in 2 of the last general elections or any of the primaries. So you go, what's going on? But they did vote maybe 10 years ago. That's a primary target of going in and saying, what's up? You used to vote, you don't, and now, what problems do you have? How could we help that? And that one-to-one engagement has a very high percentage success rate. When an individual volunteers their time and gets trained and goes knocks on a door, and the people inside want to talk to them, they're willing to talk, and that discussion takes place, the conversion rate of converting a Republican to a voting Republican is very high because the arguments are answered, and then the path, the obstructions to making the decision are removed. That was our whole operation. That's what we were basing everything on. Corona comes in and changes the paradigm, changes the world, and we do not see as a tactic anymore tens of thousands of volunteers next week, because this stuff has to start very rapidly. Next week starting, in fact, it's been going on up to Corona time. We do not see in the near 1, 2, or even 3 months. Now we're in July, we're in the summer. If we don't have a ground game going by then, you got to adjust, adapt, overcome your plans to get these 1,000,001 Christians out of their homes to vote. So we're in the midst of figuring out how to do that right now, but we've concluded here at the United West that door-to-door campaigning, door-to-door registration is not going to be the point of the spear as it was a month ago. Very disappointing for us, but in the context of the country and the problems facing the world, not a big deal. We'll figure it out. Here's the bad news now at 11:28, bottom of the hour. Tom Trento, your host, with Jay Mark and Midwest Dick and Mother Mary. We lost our guest, right? Lost the connection. Okay. Here's the bad news. You guys ready for the bad news? What do you think the bad news is?
The life's full of bad news, Tom.
Well, but in context, if the students are following me here, in context, I'm talking about our campaign to mobilize 1,000,001 new voters.
Yeah, we can't.
Who were we fighting against?
COVID-19.
No, but who was mobilizing 1,000,000 Democrats?
Oh, Andrew Gillum.
Yeah, remember that, mobilizing 1,000,000 Democrats?
Yeah, that kind of went up with a couple bags of meth in Miami.
Well, it hit some bumps, a couple of bags of meth. It hit some bumps, but Forward Florida Action, Andrew Gillum's activism organization, raising money. They have shifted. They are adjusting and adapting. They've shifted to digital contact with their Democrats and to mobilizing people to do early absentee ballots, to vote by getting an absentee ballot. Okay, we can counter all that, but the bad news just happened, and I'm going to read it for you right now. You guys ready?
Yes.
Go ahead.
Strike 3. This is not good for us. Not good for the constitutional conservatives in the state of Florida. The DeSantis administration lost yet another round in yesterday, when the 11th Circuit Court of Appeals rejected its request to have the full court consider Florida's appeal regarding the felons voting law.
Wow.
And here's what that means.
Devastating.
In 2018, we foolishly passed to the U.S. Constitution, to the Florida Constitution. We passed an amendment, and we've explained this, why this happened, that restores voting rights to felons. Notwithstanding, we had a system in place to do that. There was a tremendous movement by hardcore liberal groups that used very persuasive media, very sensitive, emotional media that even I saw myself saying, well, yeah, the guy just took a wrong turn in his life. We should, not fully understanding the ramifications of this, and you pull yourself back and you go, wait a minute, this is a bad law. Well, we voted it in, and felons can have their rights restored to vote. There's language in there where they're supposed to satisfy all their obligations before that right materializes in their life. If they have community service, they have to finish that. If they have any fines, they have to pay that. If they have any monetary restitution, they have to do that. And so the DeSantis administration, very quickly after the amendment passed and became law, The DeSantis administration challenged it in court and said, "Wait a minute, yeah, felons can vote, but they gotta do their community service. They gotta finish it. If they got 700 hours, they only did 200. They got to do 500 hours. If they have fines of $10,000, they got to pay their fines. If they have restitution to people they've wronged of $11,000 or $1,100 or $11, they got to pay all of that. When they make themselves whole, then the intent of the law was they can go vote." Well, the left who authored this law and pushed it said, no. Nope. They vote no matter what. They vote in spite of not fulfilling community service, not fulfilling restitution, not fulfilling fines. So there's been an ongoing battle since 2018, almost 2 years now. And yesterday, the third strike is, are we out here? No, we're not out yet. But the 11th Circuit refused to hear the full court. The 11th Circuit knocked it down on a 3-panel decision. And the full 9-panel, they said, no, we're not going to listen. We're going to let the 3-panel decision stay. That they can vote without having to pay fines, fees, restitution. Since the thinking is the whole amendment applies to people who can't afford to pay. They're arguing the whole idea in getting these people to vote is that we know they can't pay. That's why this whole law came into effect in the first place. So the court seems to be siding with that, even though justices have been split. But the full court, which includes 5 justices appointed by Donald Trump, the 11th Circuit, as well as 2 other Republicans, chose not to take up the case at this time. Well, we don't know why. So what is Governor DeSantis's options? He looks like he's got one option left. What do you think that is?
That would be the Supreme Court.
Yeah. Yeah, they could. He could file an injunction to stop this.
But how long is all this going to take? I mean, the bottom line is really bad.
They'll fast track it. It's saying here that it'll be fast tracked if he files a preliminary injunction before the Supreme Court. Because of the urgency of this, the case will be heard within 3 weeks, which is going to be very interesting. You got to go argue before the Supreme Court. I don't even know if they're meeting at this point. Maybe it's digital arguing. Maybe it's Zoom, a Zoom meeting. But strike number 4 will occur. Either the Supreme Court will kick it back, will decide in favor of the 11th Circuit, or will go against the 11th Circuit and say, no, here's the decision. They have to fulfill all their obligations. There was a lot of hope early on because all of this thing was geared toward this election. We know what the left did. It looks like they may actually pull this off. So the real deal is, in light of Corona, how many ex-felons are going to actually get out and vote? Let's talk about that for a second. You are Andrew Gillum. Mark, you want to be in? No. Well, nobody's
I'll be Andrew. I'll be Andrew. Hold on, Tom. Just do another line.
You're Andrew Gillum. And like John Gotti and all the other guys from their prison cell, they still run their operations. You're telling your people, all right, man, the door's open. How do you actually, physically, tactically, get these felons now to vote when they're going to have a hard time getting out the vote?
Well, I mean, it's just like everybody else's vote. I'm just saying they can digitally connect to these
Facts at 11:37 in the morning. Hi, Tom Trento, your host here on Make America Think Again. We're dealing with, obviously, the crisis we're in with the corona, with COVID-19. And but we're also moving ahead and talking about fundamental issues that impact every single person's life. Now, you have an immediate crisis in your life today and tomorrow with this disease out there. And but on November 3rd, you may have a cultural crisis, if it goes the wrong way, that on balance could be more devastating to families from a moral point of view, from an economic point of view, from an educational point of view, from a First Amendment, Second Amendment point of view, than the devastation wreaked by the coronavirus, given time. If Bernie Sanders, and he has not given up yet. There's a fight right now. Bernie and Joe are, their organizations are fighting. The two of them are trying to stay out of it. But there's a fight between those guys as to who is going to be the nominee. And then the elites of the Democrat Party are arguing that neither of them, we got to get Andrew, we got to get, or maybe make Andrew Joe's vice president. If Andrew Cuomo could be Joe's vice president.
He's got to get an operation. He has to get an operation.
Oh, that's right.
Joe committed to be a woman. You know what?
Right.
He's pretty ambitious, the governor of... He might go for it. The governor of New York might go for it. That way he could qualify. By the way, I think that's in the Democratic Constitution.
Now he gets all the people he can get as a girl. He fulfills Joe's deal. That's it, Andy.
Hang on. When he goes to the White House to visit Joe, what bathroom does he use?
Unisex. They're putting a unisex. Andy, go for it, buddy. You can do it. You can be the vice president. You'll wind up being the first transsexual president because Joe is not going to be there. He's going to take a break after a while.
Who openly has sex with gay porn star models. That's going to be his... part of his campaign.
I thought we were talking about Cuomo. We're talking about Andrew.
Oh, the wrong Andrew Cuomo.
Oh, okay.
Got to pay attention.
I was thinking he's...
the same name, right. Easy to mix up.
You thought Andrew was going to... You thought
our Andrew... a person of color anyway.
Yeah. I think Andrew Gillum's got a better shot doing the whole sex change operation.
Yeah, he's a victim. He went through drug abuse.
He's gone through drug rehab, and he's gay. He's openly gay. He's now gay transgender. That would be, man, that's a lock.
Okay, you see what I'm saying, ladies and gentlemen? If we lose this thing on November 3rd, that's the insanity. That's the insanity that looms over the horizon. So we here at this show, we're going to take you through the immediate and provide information for victory and success in the midst of COVID-19. But we're also going to keep you aware of that day, 216 days from today. And I want to do a little bit of math. We're saying that our original objective of mobilizing 1,000,001 evangelicals has been turned upside down because we can't do a ground game to the extent that we were going to be able to do. On a corresponding level, the bad guys that we were fighting against, Andrew Gillum, 1 million Democrat votes, he just got a gift delivered into his hand by the 11th Circuit, saying, indeed, the felons can register without having to fulfill any former obligations. I want to do a little bit of math with the boys here. Let's just say 50% of the felons actually vote, all right? We got 50%. And first, understand this. The Democrats organized, wrote, mobilized, and got this law passed. All right? So they think this is a bonanza for them. They think they're going to mine hundreds of thousands of votes from them, or nobody would be pushing it. The people pushing it are all the hardcore leftist organizations. So as we view this as a red team, we see who are the guys pushing this. They're the ones that think they're going to benefit from this. We'll be conservative and say only half of them are going to be identified. There's some problems with identifying them, all of that. Let's say half are identified, okay? Let's go from there. Now, out of that half that are actually going to vote, we're guessing. This is an educated guess. How many, what percentage? Just give me percentages. How many percentage of 50% of the former felons, how many are going to vote Republican and how many are going to vote Democrat? But before we do that, what are some of the characteristics of people that go to prison?
Well, they may not believe, they may not have had a moral code to go in with, so unless they pick
Well, out of how many again? Out of 1 million?
No, forget the numbers right now. Just out of 50%, what percentage can they get out of the 50% that are actually going to vote? They're going to say, we're going to lose X amount of damn criminals to those stupid Republicans.
They think they're
I
getting
think they're going to probably have a goal of getting 50 or 60% of that number.
But they think they can get 100% of them.
But
that's
think,
where they're mistaken.
Yeah, my guess is they're looking to get a couple 100,000 more people who will actually show up at the vote, show up and do the job for them. So I'm guessing that they're focusing on 200,000, and that's part of their game plan. And by the way, statistically, they don't even need 200,000 to take the election.
Doing math. Welcome to the math class, ladies and gentlemen. Tom Trento, your math instructor.
It's a homeschooling
All right, we're doing a little bit of math.
You're home.
We're doing very important math. You know why? Because on November 3rd, we do math. We count what? We count votes. And how many more votes do you need than the other guy to win?
That would be one.
That would be one. And I was here.
Oh, my city councilman won by 3 votes. I was one of them.
3 votes.
I was one of them, and I got 2 others to vote too.
How many?
You're 1/3
3
the
of
reason
them.
why that guy's in.
That's right.
I was here 20 years ago in Palm Beach County with the Hanging Chads, 537 votes. I hear 36 and 37. 537 votes out of 100 million votes cast, and George Bush beats Al Gore. Remember that?
Yep.
We know in Florida how important votes are, so we're doing math right now. And here's what it comes down to. And all of you listening, and I know you're trying to figure out, where am I going to get toilet paper? Where am I going to get it? For some reason, I have enough toilet paper. I bought a lot of toilet paper for the shop.
You're the guy.
I got so much
You're the
toilet
guy.
paper before all of this. But I have no napkins. I can't even find napkins. Do you think people are going to use napkins instead of toilet paper?
Moving right along.
The Tom Trento Hygiene Show.
What happens when you run out of toilet paper and napkins? Oh, to be determined.
Use newspaper.
Yeah, use newspaper. There we go.
Oh, we had was that God Mary?
Yeah, that was Mother
the
Mary.
Mistress of Oz.
All right, so here's the deal. Here's the math. I didn't tell these guys the numbers. They just gave me percentages. But because they're so brilliant, they almost hit the nail on the head here. We have 1.6 million felons that potentially can vote. I said, for the sake of reality, half of them are not going to vote. They're not going to be found. It's just not going to happen. So we got 800,000. We used the number of 60% that the Dems think they think they can get 100%. But we're saying they get 60%. So 60%, that's 500,000 votes. They get 500,000 votes. They believe they're going to get 1/3 of what's out there, but 50% of what we're doing, 500,000. We're going to get 40%, that's 300,000 votes.
Okay.
What's the difference between 500,000 and 300,000?
200,000.
Plus 200,000 for the Democrats.
That's their optimistic figure. Yeah.
We won, we being the Republican Party, Donald Trump won by 112,000 votes. If the election were held today, and this is a conservative, this is very conservative, this thing could go much their other way, they win. Democrats win the state of Florida
And then
today
what?
by 100,000 votes.
And then what happens?
And then we get this guy.
Out of order.
That's wrong one.
We get
ISIS, we get the Islamic State.
Phase 2.
Who do we get?
We're
We're getting Joe. We're going to try that.
I had it keyed up and it.
Okay, well, we try it, see what happens. All right, so our point here for the past few moments, folks, 11:48 in the morning, math is important because the number equates to an individual. The individuals are important. You are important. Here's what we want you to do. We want you to vote on November 3rd. The heck, I get so far away. Hey, we're going to get through this. Most of America is going to be alive. We have 330 million people. You know, the numbers are 100,000, 200. I mean, inconceivable numbers for us in this day and age. This could be the reality of the situation, so please wash your hands. We went through the importance of how to stop spreading this thing. Stay home, stay away from people. Another month, we can kill the curve. Kill the curve. We should coin that. Kill the curve. Kill the COVID. Kill the COVID curve. But numbers are important, so we don't want you to lose sight of the election on November 3rd, 216 days. You can go to armyfortrump.com. Give them your name. Just get informed. You don't even have to do anything, but get involved, get informed, get educated. Obviously, tell your friends about our show. We're going to stay on it. We have a massive battle in Florida because of the decision that came down yesterday by the 11th Circuit Court of Appeals, saying that the felons have the right, without making any restitution or paying any fines, to vote. We did simple math here. Today, if the election's today, Joe Biden wins in Florida.
This Joe Biden, Tom?
This Joe Biden, which one? Let's see.
We hold these truths to be self-evident. All men and women created by you know the thing.
He couldn't say a word. Created by, he couldn't say the next word.
You know the thing, Tom. The thing, Tom.
Could you replay that? I want you to see who your president's going to be today if the election were held today.
He's going after the felon vote.
Yeah, this is
amazing.
Unbelievable. Here we go. This is Joe.
Come on, Joe.
I was
going to say President Joe.
Come on, Joe.
We hold these truths to be self-evident. All men and women created by you know the thing.
Oh, God. You know, maybe that's a code. Maybe he's speaking in code.
No thing.
You know the thing.
You know, we don't have time. It's 11:50. We only have a few minutes left in the show. We don't have time to have the Bidenisms that we have listed here.
Oh, I can play them now.
Cue up another Bidenism. I want to camp on the importance of these numbers, folks. Seriously, if the election were held today and the Democrats deliver just 60% of half of the felon vote, they win by 100,000 votes. If everybody who voted last time, who is?
He can't do it right. Damon's on the line.
Oh, okay. No, we can't do that right now.
Well, we can bring him on. We'll try it.
Try it?
Let's see how it works.
All right, we're rewiring our studio. Let's try bringing Damon from Israel on. Yeah, come on, 11:51 in the morning. Damon Rosen, I don't know if you're with us. Tell us if he's with us. Mark?
No, bring the audio from the studio.
All right, let's try
Okay.
it.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Damon. We're testing out our equipment here. Nope. Okay.
No.
No, Damon.
Wait, just to clarify, Damon is not a felon who just got out of jail. People might not know who Damon is. We're talking about felons
We're talking
getting
about
ready to
felons,
vote. That's
yeah.
not Damon.
How do we know he didn't just get out of
Maybe
jail?
that's why he called
Yeah,
in.
you know, it could be. I mean, in Israel right now, if you cross the street, you're getting locked up.
And you're a felon.
Yeah, they're tough over there, those Israelis. They got those 10 Commandments and all that stuff.
How about that?
All right, well, Damon's trying to get in. And we are rewiring our studio, folks, to maximize our Zoom, Z-O-O-M. Zoom is Zoom is the formal name for a
He's on. We'll try it again.
A video communication system. And in trying to maximize that, we're rewiring our studio, but we think we found the wire that connects Damon from Israel, Damon Rosen,
just plugged
to
it
us.
in. Damon.
All right. Damon. We haven't even gotten into.
That's a lot of people.
That's true. 1.6 million. There's more felons in the state of Florida than in 11 states. People don't realize that Damon Rosen, who's in Israel right now, also is the curator of about 30 different voices and characters. And there is, as Dick, you mentioned earlier, there's a strong Islamic presence in our prisons.
The largest chaplain activity is in, and the most conversions are into Islam. So is that, did I get this right? This is Prislam that you're speaking about, Damon. Prislam, right?
Prislam.
Yeah. Well, I'm getting nervous. We living in Florida with all of these felons. My gosh.
Yeah. Well, we got our hands full. But Damon, give us an update on the Corona world you're in, and save the politics. We'll probably bring you on Friday to get an update on the politics. But what's the Corona situation? We're battening down the hatches here.
That's a shocker, Damon. That's a real shocker.
Unbelievable.
All right, that's what I thought. Yeah, hold on. We're not hearing Damon.
We're not hearing. I hear him.
No, we're hearing him.
No.
All right. Well, let me just go on. Damon was just saying to us. All right, let's drop Damon. Damon, we're going to drop you if you could hear me, because
that's what I was afraid of.
The plugs and all of that. Damon is telling us in Israel, they shut the country down very, very quickly, and we had to cancel our May trip, as those of you who follow us know. But it's a tiny country, and it's very in the urban areas. It's very tight. I mean, in Gaza alone, 3 miles by 21 miles, 2 million people. I was reading Gaza. I mean, this thing can rip through Gaza and kill a lot of people because they have like one ventilator. They have no medical infrastructure whatsoever. They they receive billions and billions with B's, billions and billions of dollars, and they have not rebuilt their infrastructure. They have not rebuilt their roads, their school systems, their hospitals. They take that money and build Katyusha rockets, store them up, and then they build tunnels. All of this to continue fighting the Zionist enemy. And now the chickens have come home to roost. Their efforts to try to constantly be at war with Israel, when in fact they have an insidious invader within their own midst. Israel's going to have to come to their rescue somehow, because tens of thousands could die there. They don't have they have hospitals that are third world hospitals because they didn't invest in hospitals. They invested in war equipment, war machinery, and every time they threw a missile or a bomb over into Sderot or other perimeter areas, the Israelis blew up their streets and their buildings of leadership and an ongoing cycle, and now they're going to pay the cost to it. It's hard. And the Jews are going to get blamed for this somehow.
Yeah,
they're going to get blamed for it.
Let me see. The Arabs don't follow the rules, and don't care about anybody else but themselves, and the Jews try to help, and they get blamed.
And they get blamed for it.
What happened to the deal of the century?
Well, that's very interesting because I think Friday we'll talk more at length. Benny Gantz, who's making a bromance with Bibi right now, was in the White House, remember, just before all this broke, this
Right.
Corona stuff, and agreed to the essential terms of the deal of the century. But now in the bromance back there, Benny is starting to pull in some of his lefty friends who are against the deal of the century, which would piss off Trump, and the whole deal of the century could come crashing down because of Benny Gantz. And Damon knows all of this intently. That's it for us.
All right.
The show worked. We had a good time. We gave you information. We'll see you tomorrow. Tune in 10:30 for the 20-minute Bible study. Hang with us for the show. You can participate. Wash your hands, everybody, for Midwest Dick, for J. Mark, and for me. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye. And, of course, for Mary.